Hello and welcome to the introduction of the STP Trademanager. This is a beta version, at the moment version 1.5, and I will go through the options and the possibilities of this trade manager. At the top left you see two lines in red. The first line is all the data you get when you select a Fibonacci indicator, and the second line is for the second Fibonacci, so you can put two Fibonaccis at once for this EA to place your orders. The buttons below that are to select your Fibonacci 0 or 1, and which type of order you want to select, if you want to put the EA on or off, and if you want to close orders when you want to open a new one. I will explain that later. There's also a possibility to close your trades when there's a news event coming up. There's an indicator integrated for that, and you can select if you want to close your trades automatically 1 hour before or 3 hours before. You can all set that by hand. There's also a possibility to close your trades with a line. So as soon this price crosses a certain time where you place this vertical line, it will close the open trades. I will show that later as well. And at the bottom you see this line here which says Fibo 0, Fibo 1 and T line. This will show the width of the corridors, so it's this trade manager is specially made for the ST patterns strategy. You will see that later. And when you open the options like this, there are several options you can select, mainly for the strategy you're using and for the time frame you're using. You can all select it and insert the values manually, so that you don't have to do it again and again. Also, for example, the lot size, it will calculate the lot size every time you move the Fibonacci indicator. So you don't have to calculate it by hand, especially on a 5-minute time frame. You don't have much time to do that. So that's very handy to use this. We'll go through the options later on. Now we'll go back to the chart. We are on a 5-minute chart here, and I will play some demo trades for you to see how things work. So if you press Fibo 0, this one, it will drop a Fibonacci indicator on the chart in green, and if you press this one, Fibo 1, it will drop a Fibonacci in red. So this is default to the short side. This one, the green one, is defaulted to the long side, but you can switch it. When you press the button again, Fibo 1, it will disappear from the chart. Okay, now the handy thing is, if you drag the levels, you will see at the bottom how much the corridor is. So the corridor, Fibo 1 at the moment is 83 points. So we're not calculating the pips, we are calculating points. So that will be the width from the stop level to the start level. That will be 83 pips at this moment. So, and if you drag it again, it will do so. This way you will know how much the width is of your corridor. I've also, and if you have the input for the default USD CHF strategy, that says for a 5-minute you need 20 points as a minimum for a corridor, and 110 points as a maximum for the corridor. So if you drag it, at the moment it is 70 and it's dark green. You see the lines of the levels are dark green. If you drag it to plus 110, 121 at this moment, you see the colors change to light green. So you know instantly if your corridor is too wide for the trade or too narrow, because if you drag it to below 20 pips, in this case 20 points, correction, in this case 16 points, it will be light green as well. Now, if you put it into the range where you are able to or allowed to place a trade, so for example 41 points, it will turn dark green. So you know instantly if your corridor is wide enough. So if I put it in here, on here for example, and it will snap to the place, you see it's light green, so okay, 142 points, so the corridor is too wide to take a trade at the moment. You put it on here, drag it to this point, you'll see it's dark green, of course 50 points, it's within the allowed range, so that's handy. And same goes for the Fibo 1, except this is different color, so you can always distinct Fibo 1 from Fibo 0 because of the color. Fibo 1 in this case is now normal red. If you put it on here, and you see it stays normal red, so it's within the range. You see the value here, Fibo 1, 50 points. If you drag it to plus 110, in this case 133, it will go to orange. You'll see we're out of limits. Same, it's exactly the same as for Fibo 1, Fibo 0. Okay, within the range it's dark red or normal red. So you're allowed to place a trade in this case. Now we'll remove it again. Okay, now let's go through the order options. You see in the top left for Fibo 0, this is the data threshold. It's all at 0 now. Entry, the spread you have selected, the lot size it will place when you place the trade, the stop loss level, the take profit level, if the break even is activated when it reaches the turnaround level, should it close, or is there a news event coming up in the coming hour? No, in this case. So now we'll place the lines. I'll zoom in a little bit for the trade. If I press this none button next to the Fibo 0 button, you can toggle it between the buy limit. You see right away all the levels you have entered for the strategy, and press it again. You can place a market order if you want so, but for the USD Swiss strategy we're working with with limit orders. So if you press it again, the plotted levels are gone. Press it again, it goes to buy limit. And you see, if you would like to place in this one, trade in this one, you can see the Fibonacci level. If you calculate this distance between the stop level to the stop loss level, it is 10 points. So that is your buffer for the stop loss order. Now, this is your threshold. So if price comes up through the start line, crosses the threshold, it will automatically place a buy limit order, and the buy limit order is in this case below the threshold. If the price goes back below the threshold like this, then it will activate the limit order, and once it activates this buy limit order, it will activate the stop loss exactly at this level, and it will place a take profit level at exactly this level. So you won't have to do anything. It will calculate automatically the lot sizes for you, what you've set. So that's very comfortable to use, and very fast as well, especially on the 5-minute charts where you have to react very quickly. If you drag this level again, because you might not be able to place a trade here, but if you select another Fibonacci level, you see that these other stop loss levels, threshold levels, are placed at this new position as well, and also the lot sizes immediately recalculated. If the order gets triggered, you're always at the correct lot size. So let's see if we can place an order. In this case, I'm not looking at the strategy itself. I'm just placing randomly orders now, just to demonstrate the function. So since price is far away from the threshold line, we will not wait for that, so we'll place a market order in this case. So I select buy limit, press this button, and we'll go to buy 0. At the moment I press this button, it will immediately place a trade, so you have to be very careful. It's now on off, so the EA is not trading for you. Now when I select it on, like this, that's correct, and you see it has placed immediately a trade with a stop loss level at the level which is calculated, and a take profit. If I remove the lines again, you see the trade, the stop loss and the take profit level over here. Okay, so it's open now, and if I want to close it manually, I go to this one, this button, it says opened. If I press it, you see the number for the order. It corresponds with this one. It's ending at 8181. So if I want to close this manually, I have to press 2 buttons. This one, just to be sure. Now it's locked, this number. I cannot select another one. And the next, to close it completely, it will be this one. And you see the trade is closed and removed from the chart, of course. Press it again, it's back to the default. Now let's say now we'll place the trade again. We'll wait for a tick. There you go. The trade has been placed, stop loss is in place, the take profit level is in place, and let's say now that the price will go up to this level, the turnaround level or the break-even level. So once the bid price hits this line at the 210 level, just below the 2 level, like we have said, it will place the stop loss exactly at this break-even level, plus a couple of points, to compensate for commissions. So you don't have to watch it. If price goes up, crosses this level, it will place the stop loss to the break-even level. So let's say price will turn around here, and there's another fractal forming. So you're selecting another Fibonacci, the second Fibonacci indicator. So let's say price has come up, has crossed the break-even level. So the stop loss for the first order is set at break-even. But now price returns back again, it goes short again. So there's a fractal, second fractal forming, and you could place another trade according to the strategy, the STP pattern strategy. You will close the first trade then, and the second trade will take over. So to do that, you have to select the sell limit for the second Fibonacci. You see the magenta lines over here for this second Fibo 1, and this will be the stop line for this to go short. This will be the threshold. Once it crosses there, so price goes through the threshold, activates the sell limit, and goes back up to the entry level. You see the entry will be at this 94582. It will be just above the threshold over here. So once it activates this sell limit, it will be a sell order. And if you activate this, close, this is the number of your buy, your first buy. If you activate it with this button, once it crosses, once it activates this sell limit order, it will open the sell limit order, and it will automatically, at the same location, once it crosses the threshold line, close the first buy order. So this is one closes the other, like I like to say it. So once again, price goes up. Let's remove the first Fibo. Price goes up. It will cross this break-even line. Once it crosses the break-even line, the stop loss for the first order goes to break-even. and then we wait for a fractal to form to go short. So I'll remove the lines of the first Fibo, of the Fibo 0, Fibo 1. I will select that. Now let's imagine price is over here. Price goes back and forms a fractal, so we can put the lines on the fractals to go short, and we'll activate the sell limit like this. And once price crosses this line and you have activated this function, so to close order ending at 31, it is activated. So once price goes through this threshold line, places a sell limit order, it will close the open buy order, just like the strategy mentions. This is all according to that. Okay, let's remove this now. I hope this is clear. If not, shoot me an email and I will answer it. Okay, so we have a order open now at this moment. Put this back and we'll close it by hand now, so it's gone. We'll open another order just randomly at this place. There we go. So it's open at this moment. Now let's say there's a news event coming up. The indicator plots red lines when there's a red news, according to investing.com website, coming up in the coming 3 hours. Let's see if we can find one in history. It's not plotting at the moment, but never mind, I will show that this way. Place a vertical line, because the indicator will show a vertical line like this when there's a news event coming up at this time. Let's say it's 12:25, for example. When this time, when you activate this one, time close, there is an order open at the moment. And you have selected in the settings to close the trades 1 hour before the news event. Once price reaches 11:25, so that's 1 hour before this news event, and you have activated this button, it will close all open trades for this pair, in this case the USD CHF. That's that function. You can do the same for the time close button. I'll remove this one. It looks the same, but this is a line you can select manually. So if you want to close at, let's say, at 1300, you just enter 1300 in this box. You activate line like this. You see there is in the red, it counts the open orders. In this case, 1 buy order is open, no pendings, and 1 open order, of course. You can see this purple line. Purple vertical line, it's set at 1300. So once price nears this 1300 vertical line, at the moment it is 1300 server time, it will close the open orders again. In this case, the buy order, which is open now. So it's also very handy. Let's move the line again, and we'll talk about this T line. I've noticed I'll remove the Fibo as well. And close the trade. There you go. Trade's closed. Okay. Now I will show the T line. The T line is a function that I made up myself. If you press it, it will plot a blue line on the chart. So it's easy to calculate the distance between the different fractals. So if you drag it to this one, you want to know the distance from this fractal to this fractal, vertical distance. You look down here, 42 points. You want to know the distance between this fractal and this fractal, just put it there, you see 4 points. You can very fast measure how much the distance is at the moment without using the Fibonacci's. This is just to not clutter up the chart and to work swiftly. Okay, that's that. Well, that's the most important part for this part. button sections. We will go through this to the options settings now. I'll place a Fibo because I think we need it. Okay, place some lines here. Okay, now we'll go through the settings and we'll talk about it. For instant market orders, you select a buy or sell order. We've gone over that. It's on this button. Now it's a buy limit. Press it again, it will go to buy 0. And if you activate the EA by selecting the off button, it will turn to on and it will immediately trade the plane. So that's what I mean with for instant market orders. Place your FIB and select buy sell. This is the options to activate place the levels at the correct settings. According to the STP Trademanager strategy, you need a threshold level or a break level of 22 in this case. So you got the start line here of the Fibonacci, 22 points above. There is your threshold, and if you put in the spread, the manual spread value, because spread will differ all the time for most brokers. I've selected for the USD for my broker 5 points in spread, so it will automatically calculate the 5-point spread into those levels here. So if you go long or short, you don't have to worry about it. Just put in your spread, what's most common, and it will set the correct values for you. Okay, threshold level 22 points is 22 points above the start level. The start line to entry level is 10 points or 1 pip. So your entry level is 10 points above the start line. Start line over here, 10 points above. Then you have the stop line to stop loss level, also 10 points. This is your stop line. This is your stop loss. If measured, that is 10 points. The offset to the Fibonacci take profit level, or the 400 level, 400% level, also 10 points. This level to this level, and you have the offset to the break-even level to 10 to this dotted line, 10 points. For the next settings, below the Fibonacci levels, 400 and 210, we go to the max size of the corridor, according to the STP Trademanager strategy for the USD CHF. You have a max size of 110 points or 11 pips. Same goes for the minimum size for the corridor, the 20 points in this case. So, like I said before, it will change the color. So if you drag the Fibonacci plus 110 points, it will change to light green. So you know instantly you have a corridor which is too wide for the strategy. You can put in there anything you want, of course. This is for the trade settings, the order settings. This will calculate with these parameters the order size for you. Now, if you want a fixed lot size for every trade, so well, I'm trading in demo, I just put in 0.01 for the lot size. If you put in a percentage, like 1%, 2%, so like this, 1%, it will change in the settings. I will close it briefly. You see up here, the lot size is now 1%. So every trade you put in now, it will always have a risk set at 1%, so you don't have to calculate it. And even when you move this Fibonacci start and stop line, it recalculates all the levels, and it will always be from the entry level to the stop level, in this case a risk of 1% with everything you do. So let's go back into the settings, put it back to the default 0.01. So if you don't put in a percentage after the number, it will take the exact lot size like here, and if you put in a percentage, then we'll always be at 1% of your account size. The next setting, the max risk percentage on your account balance, in this case 10%. If you don't want to make a wrong trade, which costs you maybe the half of your account. Just put in your 10%. And so the EA will never take a trade which is bigger or risk more than 10% in this case. You can also set a custom balance. So let's say if you're trading with let's say 10,000 euro and you want to calculate with only 5,000, just put in 5,000, and if you set here 1% risk with 5,000 euro, it will only take 1% of this 5,000 and not of your account balance. If you set it again to the default of -1, it will select your actual account balance. This is the magic number. It's important if you trade different pairs. So for every pair, I will put in a different number, so the EA knows which trade to close once it trades for you at that moment. So if you want to trade Euro USD as well, just put in 22 or whatever. In any way, a different number than for this pair you're trading now. The manual spread in points, put in the spread which you want to use for your EA, because the spread over here at the moment now you see is 6 points, but it's going all over the place. So I've sometimes it's even 0 and sometimes it's 10, but I just put in a median number. For me 5, that works fine for me. I'll use for the Euro USD 2 points, so you can put whatever you want over here. The stop loss to break even buffer, I mean by that, once the order break even level is triggered, it's just below the 210, price goes up, goes through this break even level, it will put the stop loss to break even. But in this case 7 points above. So the stop loss goes from here, just over your entry level, and the 7 points above your entry level will be for compensation of commissions, etc. The next option, the break even trigger, is on or off. In this case it's on. If you select it to off, once price reaches this break even level, you have selected this to off, to false, it will not place your stop loss at the break even level. And it could be handy for the 1 hour strategies for the higher time frame. I've selected for the lower time frame to true, so I don't have to watch it. I know that if price crosses this break even level, it will automatically place my stop loss at break even. This is for the appearance section. It's just to color and name your lines and dotted lines, solid lines, whatever you want. It's self-explanatory. If you go below, you see this button. This is important for the 1 hour strategy. This is to show or use the ADR times divided by 2. Like for the 5-minute strategy, you don't need it because you set the maximum and the minimum side of the corridor. But for the 1 hour, for example, you can use the ADRs divided by 2 values. And if you go to the 1 hour chart, I will show that quickly. So this is a 1 hour chart, and the difference is with the 5-minute chart, like here, you don't see ADR values. If you switch to the 1 hour, like here, you see 2 ADR values. Now, if we select the Fibonacci and you drag it, you can still see, of course, the point values, but also if you look at the start line where this start line originates, in this case on today, you see the ADR for the Fibonacci 0, because it's green, this is green, is 311 points. So if your corridor is bigger than 311, like this, it will turn light green again. For this day, if you hold your mouse, it's 325, so that was on last Friday, 325 points. So if you put your start line into that day, you will see it will take this value. It differs from today, 311, 325 points. If you select it to the day before yesterday, you see it's 248. It corresponds with this value. It's the ADR standard divided by 2 indicator. You see 248 points, and it calculates. So basically, you don't need this one at the bottom. So you can just delete this if you want to. It will the EA will see how much ADR value you need. And if you have selected a minimum of corridor of 120 points or 12 pips, everything smaller than 12 pips is again light green. If it's in between the right values, it is dark green. If it's in this case, for the start, 248. If it's the corridor is bigger than 248, it will turn light green again. So you have instant notification if the corridor is wide enough or not. Let's go back to the 5-minute charts. Go to the options. So the last thing was this. Yeah, the use show ADR divided by 2. For the 5-minute it is false. So you won't have an ADR indication in the bottom left, but you don't need it. Here you can put a sound effect if you want it. I don't use it, but you can every time you move the Fibonacci, it will bing or whatever you I don't use this sound. To close the order at a certain time. This was this vertical line corresponding to this line button with this time. You can select if you want to close all your orders. So if you trade in 2 or 3 pairs, you just have to select it on one chart, set it to true or to false, and it will close all the orders which are open once time crosses this vertical line. Slippage. This is the amount of slippage in points that the EA is allowed. It will not close the trades when your slippage at that moment is bigger than 8 points. To show the current order details, that's what you see up here. Close at server time, 1300 magic number, and it will manage the USD and CHF only at the moment. This is the, again, parameters for the colors and the width of the vertical line. News settings. There's also a news indicator integrated. You needed to put it in your indicator list for it to be able to use. And you see the first option is enable news import true. So now the EA takes into consideration all the news that's coming up, and it shows that by red vertical lines. And the next option, if do you want the EA close the orders when news is coming up, it's set to true. In this is the case 60 minutes ahead. So when there's a red line over here, let's say at 1400, this EA will close all the open trades for this pair once it's 60 minutes before the red line automatically. So you don't have to watch, you can just leave the house or whatever, don't look at the chart. The EA will close those trades. And also 5 minutes after you're not able to place a trade, in this case 5 minutes after the news event, as per the strategy, it won't let you place those trades. This is the offset to the server time for the EA, just an internal setting. It looks only at high impact news. I've selected the medium and low impact off, and it will look only at these currencies for it to plot the news events. Okay, so that is basically it. That's the introduction to this EA. I hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions, I'd like to hear them from you. Thank you.